All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Sex Ed Before Bed. I'm here with Karen BK Chan. A little bit about Karen BK Chan. She is a sex and emotional literacy educator in Toronto, Canada. Woohoo! Karen, aka BK, has taught and written about sex, sexuality, and emotional intelligence for 20 years. She is dedicated to having conversations about sexuality that are real, transformative, and kind. Karen, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah.
So good to be here.
It's good. It's good to have you. I've heard about you for a long time from Tuval and just other people who do sex education, and you're really well known. So.
Oh, that's so lovely. I love Tuval. So, good people.
Yeah, shout out. So, I guess you have done work with so many different groups, and your company is called Fluid Exchange. You've done work with Toronto, law schools. You've done work at sex shops, and you do work with individuals and couples. So you really have a kind of really broad portfolio. So it's pretty impressive. I guess I wanted to start by talking about maybe what you're working on right now. Some of the things you're working on.
I'm working on, in truth, I'm working on not working as much. It's really been a fortune, I think, and a privilege and also a curse. That working is one of the ways that I deal with stress and with feeling tired and with if I don't know what to do, I'll work. So I'm actually working on not working as much. Nice. So that's goal number one. And at the same time, I'm working on this year I said to myself I really want to invest in creativity, and it makes me really excited to use creativity. So that manifests in so randomly, sometimes in PowerPoints that I make instead of just thinking of them as functional things. I want to feel like they're little art objects.
Yeah.
So there's that. But actually, in terms of projects, I'm working on a webinar, an e-course with good people at Flip University, and we want to put on this e-course because often we hear people from different organizations say, oh, I wish my organization or my company would do emotional intelligence training, but that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So this makes it available, and it also means I don't have to be there. It also means people get to engage with each other in online communities. Anyway, I love their platform. I took some of their courses, and they're fun. They're not just like the webinar you put on and then make your lunch and not really listen.
I've never heard of them. Flip University.
They're slowly building a portfolio of courses that they call pracademic, so lots of practical applications and a lot of academic kind of scientific stuff. So that's one thing that's taking quite a bit of time, and I'm trying to write a little book.
Right on.
Or a bunch of little books. I don't know what exactly they're becoming yet, but
oh, nice.
Yeah,
that seems a bit more manageable than writing your memoirs.
That's right.
Something like that.
I hope I get to a point where there's been so many memories that I get a memoir.
Yeah, an anthology.
Yeah.
Sex.
Yeah. Volume 1 of 22.
Yeah, and it's just that Encyclopedia Britannica, where you have a whole shelf. This is my BK Chan collection.
Did you have encyclopedias?
Yeah. I think that we had them.
You're I still do my research that way.
Really?
No, I don't.
Oh my gosh, I was like Dewey Decimal.
I was just making fun of you.
Yeah.
I'm pretty old school.
Yeah.
It's true though.
I do remember Dewey Decimal. And
Me
I remember just how long research took.
Yes.
It takes a long time when it's not the internet.
I know, you're wrong drawer, different index card.
Yeah.
You go to the book, it's not there.
Yeah,
Totally.
or the book's not right. So that's pretty cool. So you're writing a bunch of little books, and one of the books you came out with was called Monster.
Yeah, that's the first in the series of unknown numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can see some of that creativity you talk about in the way that the book is presented. You know, there's just entire pages that are lines, amorphous lines going all over with light colors and just little eyes hidden in them. And then the monster is very endearing and cute. And yeah, and it's available through your website.
It is.
So people can read it.
Yeah. And you can read it and you can not read it as well on the website. Both.
You will read this book. I don't know, in reverse.
Subliminal, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Black
Aaron.
Sabbath. Aaron. So, what prompted you to write Monster?
Funny enough, I had been trying to write about rejection for a long time. And I've been doing a lot of talks about rejection, and I came to talk about rejection because of consent.
Yeah.
So a lot of the consent work that's being done is amazing, and I really felt what was missing was this really big part that people get no support for. You know, a lot of times when, you know, sex educators go in and talk about consent, we're asking people to follow ideas and rules and scripts that are so hard to do. And one of the reasons it's so hard is just this idea of rejection.
Yeah.
And so if I don't get enough support around how I'm going to handle and integrate and live with the rejection that might come when I practice consent, then I'm not going to practice consent. It's just too risky.
Yeah.
So I've been talking rejection like nonstop. And as I'm talking about it, I started to write about it. And I really wanted to, like, another part of my heart is to write children's books, because like all this stuff I wish I learned as a child, not when I was 38. So so I just wrote the text a long time ago. I left it, and funny enough, I had a Groupon.
Shout out to Groupon.
We're
looking for sponsors.
I love Groupon. Groupon loves you. I had an expiring Groupon to print little books, and I was printing a little book for a loved one, and I had an extra one, and I'm like, oh my god, it expires tomorrow. What do I do? So then I'm like, what's a quick thing I could throw onto a book? And so it has to be already done. It can't be like, I'm going to write something tonight.
Yeah.
So it was that.
And you already had it there.
I had it already. Who knew? I didn't, because it was like archived.
Yeah.
So that's why it came to be. And once it came to be, I felt so happy to have just put like a thing that I put in my back pocket into onto the table and say, look at this if you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's terrifying and it's fun and it's good. So I want to do more of it.
Well, congratulations on bringing that into reality and bringing that into fruition.
Thank you.
You know? It's a big accomplishment when something like that comes, you know? The podcast was just an idea for a long time.
Yeah, and then you're doing it. It's awesome.
I have to say, I was watching one of your videos about consent, and I did use part of it when I was teaching in a high school this year about rejection and consent. And I basically was like, okay, we all have different values and things, and so our values are all different. And when we assert our boundaries, sometimes an effect of that is other people get hurt. Yeah. And that's okay. And I talked to him about that.
Yeah.
Like, yes, this is good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and I really...
Did the students think you were out to lunch?
No. They were, you know how they are during sex class. They are at attention. Nobody even goes to the bathroom.
That's in your sex ed class. In mine, there are a lot of hoodies pulled over their heads in the back.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm pretending not to listen.
Yeah.
But I know we're together.
For sure. And so thank you for that. And I think
so
that
welcome.
it's really important. And I guess I haven't really done an intro to the podcast, but I'll just say briefly, one of the reasons I got into it is exactly that reason, that I want to do this work because I didn't have anything like it. Catholic school, maybe a little bit of anatomy, maybe a little bit about intimacy. Goodbye, Charlie.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice. I went to a Catholic school too.
Yeah, fully alive.
Oh, we didn't have that then. I remember learning about syphilis as a life cycle of a bacterium kind of biological lesson, and I had no idea it was sexually transmitted. And we learned about it over like a month. So I knew everything about syphilis and how I drew it, many times in detail, but I had no idea how you transmit it.
Right.
We
you're
just
an
sort of
expert.
skipped over that.
Yeah, total erasure of it. When you were young, did you ever imagine that this would be what you were doing?
No. I don't know how many. I guess many people do. Yeah. They say I'm going to be a sex educator.
But I didn't even know it was a thing until
Me neither.
a couple of years ago.
But recently, I had some insight shared with me, which is that I don't know if I'm really a sex person. A lot of sex educators, they love sex. They love talking about sex, and it's about the sex.
Yeah.
And sexuality, of course. And I think sex is like a case study for me of what's interesting and challenging in the world and within myself. So it's one of my things. But yeah, I just learned that recently because sometimes when I meet sex educators, I'm like, I'm not sufficiently excited enough about sex.
Yeah.
Because you show me how excitable one can be.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I certainly identify with that. Yeah, you see it as from the more science study.
More like human behavior and what happens when we feel badly about something.
Yeah.
Or so like a study of the human animal and all the troubles we go through to be human.
Well, in the same vein then, I have a question about consent for you. When I was teaching, in this way, I felt that I left my students with just half the information because I was talking about the age of consent, and then of course that you can't consent if you're drunk or high.
Right.
And you just leave it at that.
Yeah. So you're like, next.
Yeah, and I didn't know how to traverse it.
That's a hard one. I feel that one has hooks that catch my sweaters. I'm just like my sweater, it's ruined. This is so imperfectly framed.
Yeah, the visual there I get is those that plant with it looks like a ball and that has spikes on it.
Cactus?
No, it's
burrs.
Burrs.
Yes.
Yeah, you got a burr.
They gave me burrs. Yes. Yeah, I agree. That one is a difficult one.
Yeah. And
my bone to pick about that message, which I hate giving because I don't believe it. It's so much more complex and nuanced than that, right?
Yeah.
But then I don't know if you ever feel the pressure to give really clear, reductive messages, like use a condom every time. You cannot consent. And of course that's the law. You cannot consent. But then what's happening in real life is we consent all the time.
Yeah.
While high and drunk.
Yeah.
And we choose that.
Yeah.
And it's like a weird blip.
Yeah, and how do you address it at all when you do any of your work?
I say pretty much that. I'll say that's the law. So when shit hits the fan, that's the law. Now let's go back to reality, which is many of us enjoy being high or drunk or drinking with our sexuality.
Yeah.
Many of us actually, and if it's, well, I guess whichever audience, feel like too self-conscious and anxious unless we're somehow under the influence of something.
Yeah.
So I often will just throw that back to the audience. So given that, still, how do you want to practice consent to the best of your ability? So if you're feeling tipsy and you're singing karaoke and dancing in a way that you know you would never do if you weren't drunk. Now you want to like get sexy with this person.
Yeah.
And you know you're under the influence. Like what are your options?
Right.
Because I feel like it's really unrealistic to say, well, then it's time to go home.
It's totally unrealistic. It doesn't speak to the experience we know so many people are having.
Yeah. So what do you say?
Ugh.
What are our options here?
I haven't been specifically asked the question, but I think I would say that it's a combination of sometimes verbal cues and sometimes physical cues that the other person gives you. And statistically, Canadians are not very verbal anyway with their consent. They're really physical. They're really physical with how they show. They take their clothes off.
Right.
They get closer to you. They kiss you. Those kinds of things. So, I guess just be very aware of what that other person's sending to you, what kind of messaging they're sending to you. That said, it's very problematic because the next day you still could regret it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's one of the things I make clear, that regretting something I chose is not the same as not having chosen something. Mm-hmm. So non-consensual does not equate sex that I consensually sought and regret. Because there's lots of those too.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, and especially in this period of time where I feel like consent awareness is skyrocketing among some of our young people, that I want to just be aware that we don't rush so quickly to say, well, that wasn't good, or I feel ashamed the next day, therefore that was non-consensual.
Right.
You know, there's so many sexual experiences that feel shitty the next day.
Yeah, you're right.
You know?
It's a really important distinction that you're making there. I think that's really important what you just said. And
it's scary to talk about.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's nearing saying, you know what, if you feel bad, just swallow it. You probably just regret it.
Right.
Versus consider you may have been violated.
Yeah.
I think absolutely consider that, but I don't want to take that away from people.
For sure.
Yeah, you had sex, you regret it.
Yes, that's a real thing.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
And you can have that.
And how meaningful that would be, again, I'm thinking about my younger self, that would be to hear somebody else say that.
Yeah.
Just to hear that even other people feel that way, because people don't talk about these things very much.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I love studies that show, like, often they're done on university campuses. During sex, how are you feeling happy? Are you feeling attractive? Are you feeling proud of yourself? And then afterwards, the day after, how did you feel?
Yeah.
And that with sex that the research subjects all will say are consensual, all of those things drop in hookup culture.
Really?
So, yeah, no one is as happy as they were when it was happening. No one feels as much belonging or thinks it's as good an idea. Like, the general statistics say that.
Right.
And I would love to have known that as a younger person.
Right, that most people don't feel that great after a hookup.
Yeah, and that's okay. You can still choose it. It's kind of like a night of drinking. I don't feel great the next day.
Yeah. Good to know. Yeah, it's a good point. And this topic raises something that's come up in the past 2 episodes that I've done as well, which is etiquette around casual sex. Or, there's someone came out with a book called Being an Ethical Slut. And I'm particularly interested in this idea of aftercare. I love these questions that I think that one of the things I think when people ask about great sex, I'm like, there's no magic, but I think communication clearly and emotional maturity really help. And when I think about aftercare, it's like, what kind of care do you need after? Do you want to cuddle? Do you want to text the next day? I'm like, holy cow, I'm allowed to ask for these things? And I'm not in a relationship with you?
I mean, you could ask, you might not get it.
No, I might not get it. Like, what's that? What language are you speaking right now?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, no kidding. So, But
that's cool. I see, that's another interesting point, because a lot of times if consent education comes from a place of let's make sure everyone follows the law, and therefore I guess the underlying message there is let's make sure you don't do stuff that's illegal, then aftercare does not matter because it's after whatever might have happened. And so a lot of consent workshops and education that I've witnessed don't talk about that because it's rendered pointless. Like, there might have been already harm done, so fuck aftercare, you know? Whereas if consent education really is done from a place of saying, how do we help people show the care that they feel and want to show but may not have had experience or didn't know they could say scripts that they could say, then that kind of education would definitely include asking questions after something has happened as just part of the same set of questions you would ask during and before. Like, it's not like, okay, we did it. Now, what's the verdict? Did I violate you? Or did I experience violence? So yeah, like checking in even like months after, if it's the person you saw at spring break, you know? Next time you see them, hey, remember that? Like, that's not to take away culpability if anything illegal ever, like if you're ever charged with something, that matters not. And in fact, it might make you more criminally suspicious. Like, oh, you thought it was so bad that you had to check with them months after. Oh, I see. And I think there's some fear in saying like, hey, it was kind of rough last night. Are you okay? Right. Or like, I noticed the condom was broken. Yeah. You know, did you know that? You know, anyway, my point simply is that I think we should help people know that they can do stuff like that. Yeah. That it's like, I can't even articulate how much it bugs me that once quote unquote sex is done, then I don't relate to you anymore. Right. Now I'm just like spiraling either in my own shame or in my own like, how do I make sense of this thing that happened? You mean when violence has occurred? Or even when questionable, or even when really good times have occurred. Yeah. You know, it's because there is so much embarrassment and shame that happens post-sex between people. That's something we should do something about. Post-sex shame. Post-sex shame and what to do. And it doesn't even have to do with anything violence related. It's just like, even when it's plain old birds and bees, you know? Right. Like, I feel like post-sex shame might be more prevalent with people who are doing it with people maybe that they don't know as well. Maybe that's just... I think sometimes people feel that also if they have sex with someone like they don't usually have sex with, but as a friend, and it just kind of happened, and then you're like, let's just not talk about it, okay? Yeah, okay. Right. Yeah, we're really good at that. Yeah. We're so good at that. Oh my god, wait till we start talking about texting strategies. Okay. Yeah, because we're going to talk about that. Okay. I don't know if you have any information on this, but I felt like, Karen's going to ask. You know, the world of texting's pretty, like, coming up. I feel like that's a big way young people and everybody really interacts. And I notice people don't know how to reject other people. Right. On text. Right. Well, it's much easier on text, via text, than any other way. In person. Yeah, but the old ghosting strategy is in full swing. Yeah. Right? Yeah, the first time I was ghosted, I got so worried about the person. Because I was like, you know, so I wrote her 3 times and she didn't write back. I have a sense that something happened to her. And then I happened to have like some friends who were younger. They're like, dude, you got ghosted. So like, pack up your bags. stop bugging her. And I was like, what? No. If she wasn't into it, she would tell me.
Yeah.
And then they were like, what? In what world would she tell you?
Yeah. We don't have a lexicon for it. We really don't have a lexicon for, hey, well, I guess we do. It's like, hey, I'm not into you. But people would rather lie than say that, even over text.
Yes.
I think it's because of fear of confrontation.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's hard to say, like, something that I think is... truly, we are rejecting the person, right? It's not like, sorry, I'm moving countries. It's like, I've come to know you a little bit more than I used to, and I don't like it.
Yeah. From what I've seen, after a deeper look, I'm not looking forward to learning more.
And so I actually think it's interesting that there are some people who are very ready to reject others, but they're done in a pretty nasty way. It's kind of, so like either you go super nasty and be like, don't ever show your face again. That's the last thing I ever want to see. Or what I get told are like funny lines that people use to reject people, and they're always like, even if you're the last man on earth.
Oh. I thought you were gonna say it's not you, it's me.
No. Like something's
harsh.
Like and meant to be harsh.
Yeah.
And I actually think that is a reaction. That's like, if I'm gonna say it as what it is, which is not that strong a reaction of resentment and rejection, then I'm more likely to feel something. Yeah. But if I become more extreme in what I'm saying to you, then the extremity of what I'm saying almost like takes away my ability, my need to feel it. How do I don't know if I'm making any sense at all.
We're in it. We're in the spiral now.
Totally.
The philosophic spiral. We're deep in the trenches.
It's kind of like, instead of saying like, hey, I don't like it when you wear that jacket.
Right.
I'm saying, that jacket is so ugly, makes me want to puke.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just puts it in a different relational realm. Like the first one, I'm like, I'm gonna receive what your reaction is. The second one, I'm pushing you so far away with my words that I don't have to receive you after that. Oh. So if you break down and cry, I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I walk away.
Like you're just being sensitive.
I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, well it sounds like that approach is you have nothing to lose. Yeah. You don't have a lot to lose.
And it's like a distancing.
Yeah. Because the other person also, it's hard for them to react constructively. You haven't given them really the option.
Yeah.
I mean, actually they could if they're like a really mature person.
Right.
But, I mean, they could also be really pissed off. For sure.
And they're more likely to react with anger versus like...
Yeah.
What I really don't want, which is like just plain naked hurt.
Yeah. I think this really feeds into a lot of the other work you do, because you work with corporations on gender and many other topics, right? And so I'm wondering how you counter people in the room that have really have opinions that are homophobic or who really dated thoughts. How do you challenge that in a way that's constructive?
Well, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
That's one of if they're not listening, I don't. It really feels like if they're not listening, then I'm no longer at all effective. So I would rather talk about something else.
Yeah.
So I think a lot about rapport and whether I have rapport with someone, because intuitively, I've always known that if you like someone, you're much more likely to, do what they say and buy what they're selling and shift your own values and attitudes, or even actually just be softer towards their difference, right? Which is why, for the longest time, LGBTQ awareness or anti-homophobia training isn't just done with like teaching, it's also done with stories. So then you bring people in and you're like, oh, but he's so lovely, I couldn't hate him.
Yeah.
And that's how and so that is one way of building rapport, basically. And so I think about rapport, and one of the ways that I invest in rapport with people that I'm training is to really try to affirm for them that they have good reason to think what they think. Like, I really want to be in that place because they do have good, like I have good reason to think what I think.
Right.
So they didn't come to it through callousness and, ill will. They're probably trying to do what they think is the right thing.
Yes.
So I will try to articulate that pretty explicitly.
You validate.
I validate why certain positions are taken.
Okay.
And then I might give what it feels like for that to exist. So I'm not going to debate as much like it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
Because we could do that all day.
Yeah.
And if we were on a debating team and we picked the straw for the other team, like I could debate myself about how I'm wrong all the time.
Yeah.
So I try to appeal to other things, like maybe they have other interests, the interests of being a good person, or a lot of people see themselves as different from who they were supposed to be, like their lot. Like I'm not just any lawyer. I'm a really, I'm innovative. Or I'm not just another nurse. I came to this because like every woman in my extended family have been nurses.
I see.
So there's a pride.
Right.
And so
an individuation sort of thing happening.
Sometimes if it's a personal tension that I'm feeling, and sometimes I'm feeling the tension with the whole room. So I'm really trying to appeal to what reason would they have anyway to think differently at all. Certainly not because I'm right and they're wrong. So sometimes it's they are already, often this is what's true about people, they are already like exceptions to their class or their profession or their gender and so on. And so they've already consciously made decisions to be different. So they can do that again. And so sometimes I'll say, this is what you've done already. This is another thing I'm asking you to do. And I'm asking you to do this at great cost to yourself. So I'm trying to name all the barriers they might feel within them.
Can we use an example?
Yeah. So, an example. Aaron will edit this space out.
What about one of the things like... I don't want to have to use someone else's pronoun.
Great. That's a good one. I actually had this experience. When I was in New Orleans, a colleague and I were presenting LGBTQ awareness and competency. Mm-hmm. A lot of lawyers, a few judges, and a judge in the back of the room at the end of our presentation said, I don't know who made the decision at some point that you can just change what it means. This gender is what it is. You can't just go and change that.
Yeah.
And I don't get why people who do they think they are to change gender?
Right.
So we had talked about trans people, mm-hmm. and what it means. And so I affirmed, it's it makes, for many people, it makes no sense how something they've known all their lives as being one way, pretty binary, men are like this and women are like this. And those are not easy binaries, right? As a man yourself, And I would list all the things that men have to do to morph themselves into manhood.
Yeah.
Right? And so many people who've gone through that experience, and I suspect you might have, will have come to know gender this way. And here we are standing in front of a room saying, hey, this is a new thing. You better catch on, you know. And I'm like, whether you catch on is up to you. And if you don't, does that make you a bad person? Absolutely not. You're doing your best to uphold something that you know holds the social order. But what it does do is that it might alienate many people who come across your bench. And certainly that's not your intention. You know, I can see that. You're not a judge in order to alienate you. In fact, and if I know anything about this person and their work, I would say you're known for working with families, poor families or something like that.
Right.
And so you already know what it's like to be counter the norm or something normative. So this is another wave. And of course, as the wave comes, it feels like a smack in the face. So it would be like through that kind of approach.
Wow.
And really linking it to stuff they know. So a lot of times I'll remind people, do you remember when, you know, if it's an older audience, like women's rights, you know, and how many people at that time felt, well, I can't just say anything to a woman anymore. Everything I say is offensive.
Right.
You know, and often in anti-oppression training that happens. It's like, why can't I say this word? And why can't I say, oh my God?
Yeah.
You know, like, what's the point in policing all my words?
Yeah.
And I said, do you remember that? It does. Like, in that moment, it feels shitty because the way that you've known is changing now.
Yeah. And it makes you feel, I think, insecure.
Yes.
In their sense of self. And, you know, they might strike their confidence on all these things. On the collection of all their beliefs. Yeah. So if one starts shaking and then the other ones around it start shaking, you know, it can affect their confidence.
Yeah. And so I'll often just point out this is actually how change happens. Another common one that I get is like, there are so many letters in this LGBTQII2S.
Yeah.
You know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
You know, we're just human. What happened to human race?
Right.
You know, that kind of thing. And I'll say, absolutely. It is so clunky. I can't even imagine. I can't even make a t-shirt that fits all the letters. So I'm trying to relate to them, and I do. You know, and then I'll say this is actually step 45 in a process that takes 100 steps. So 45 is ugly and clunky, and we're like, one more letter, and we're like struggling with like, I'm excluded.
Yes.
And so you are ready for a 100, but we're not there.
Right.
And we need you to be a part of 45. So how do you do 45 is that you do try to learn the new letter that comes out.
Yeah.
That you do ask people's gender pronouns. You know, I think there might be a day when we don't have gender pronouns, or when it will be okay and it won't inflame a lot of wounds where we just ask anyone. Right. You know, but we're at 45. So that gives perspective, and then people will be like, okay.
They were still all moving towards
agreed. And that they're needed. They're part of 45.
Nice.
And I'm asking, like, can we count on you to move this wave forward so we can get to 100?
Yeah.
The more you resist, the more we stay at 45.
Yeah.
You become one of the people have to fight.
Right. And some elements of it are easier to understand than others.
Yeah.
And I think that acronym is really a sticking point for people. I was thinking about it too, and again, I think it's overwhelming for people who are not in the community or working with the community. They're like, what is this? And I don't understand. I don't know what's gender identity. And Bill C-16 comes out, and they're like, okay, I don't know if I really understand this. Egal did a great video on it, on Bill C-16.
A friend of mine made it, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, though.
It's so great.
I'm so sad.
It's so great. It's like 3 minutes out of your time, and they also have a great open letter. And in the open letter, they address probably one of the biggest myths about the bill, which is, okay, now if I misgender, if I don't use someone's pronoun, then I'm going to jail.
Right.
This is one of the things came out. So FYI, that's not happening.
That's not a
happening.
thing.
Yeah. So check out EGAL's website and their open letter. I'll actually include it in the show notes.
Perfect.
Aaron included. Just kidding.
Show notes.
I do my own.
Aaron, you're the best.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to Aaron. He's great. Well, what else did I want to talk about? Well, let's talk about sexy seniors.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you ever done any work with seniors?
I've done some work with seniors. It was mostly like around sexual health and there, we covered some pleasure. And if I remember correctly, a lot of our conversation actually ended up towards like, what the hell do you do these days? And it was a very, when I was a younger person, I said to myself, never be an older person who said, when I was your age, blah, 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 blah. And now I'm starting to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing the reason. It's not to make people who are younger feel anything. It's because I don't know what to do with all these feelings I have about all that I've seen and done and all that I know. And how do I grieve for things that are never going to be the same? And like, who do I tell all these stories to?
Yeah.
So I remember one of the sessions I did with seniors, it was supposed to be about health. I just ended up being educated on what was it like? What did you have to do? What did you have to be? What are the rules around like a dance? And how did you know you were, if somebody liked you? So it was very sweet. And through that, I think I learned a lot and I gave a lot of empathy for how things change and it can be confusing. But I didn't teach them how to Tinder or something.
Yeah. I think when I was studying in Vancouver, the sex educator course, I took the one with options for sexual health.
Right.
And the seniors, we did a whole unit on seniors. And we were just on the verge of tears a couple times because, they're completely... You talk about how sex is erased in many ways, and certainly for seniors. People think they become asexual.
Yeah.
Okay, so what day does that happen? Is it, your first gray hair or 40, 50, 60, when do you get there?
Right.
And actually someone asked me, no, seniors are not sexual. I'm like, oh, but they are.
Right.
And I think that with the graying population, there's a huge need for staff training. Yeah. And also for the training of actual people to be like, okay, especially because we have, women tending to have longer lifespans and maybe losing their partners and maybe wanting to find somebody new. Yeah. Normalizing all that. Yeah. And doing some speed dating or something. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. Speed dating for seniors. There's a great documentary about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's called The Age of Love.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about screening it, or I think that they did screen it at the 519.
Okay.
Yeah, of course they did. They had a whole they have a seniors network at 519, and they also had a bunch of talks about it. Of course, I missed them, but hey, keep on going.
You've got some time.
Keep it on. Yeah. Before
you're in a hurry.
Yeah, exactly. Can we talk about some of the work you do in terms of, I guess, you call it counseling for couples or individuals?
I do some, and it's not something I seek. Yeah. So often I'll meet people at the end of a workshop or something, and it'll be something that we had talked about or a model that I shared that really worked for them or reflected what they are living. Okay. So in those cases, we decide to work together.
Okay.
So I make it very clear I'm not a therapist. I'm not trained as a therapist. I'm trained as an educator. So primarily I listen and then I give information like I would, but except in a very small classroom.
Okay.
And I give advice and I give homework and I tell people what to do, which is all like the stuff you're not supposed to do. If my therapist did those things to me, I'd be like, mind your own business.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how I do it, and it's short term. And people come to me with all kinds of situations. So sometimes it's couples who are just struggling to have sex again when they, for one reason or another, have stopped or really find it hard to rekindle intimacy between them. Other folks, it's a sense of themselves. As you know, you're talking about sexy seniors. One of the thoughts that came to mind was, for a lot of people, they may never have related to this idea of sexiness, right? I recently worked with a group of awesome taiko drumming women in Boston to do storytelling, and a number of women there had turned 60 recently. One of them had a shirt. Someone gifted her a shirt that said, "Too sexy to be 60, too sexy to be 60." And so then we had this beautiful conversation about, when was I sexy? Do I feel sexy? Do I relate to this word? Because I actually think it's not accessible to a lot of people past a certain time, you know? Or maybe it was never there. So I work with people individually about, you know, their own sense of themselves as sexual beings.
Interesting. In either your kind of that work that you do with individuals and couples or in a classroom, can you share any stories about maybe some beautiful moments that you've seen, maybe where like somebody has an aha moment or you've had an aha moment? Take your time.
Mm-hmm.
I figure with 18 plus years, it's probably a couple stories in the bank.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite stories to retell is I was in a classroom once and in the anonymous question box, I got a question that said, what is an interracial relationship? Mm-hmm. And these were like 9-year-olds. And they know that my rule for the anonymous question box is that it has to be anonymous. So I read it out, I answer it, and then a child puts up their hand and was like, that was my question. And I was like, oh, you don't do that. That's not anonymous anymore. Anyway, just for future reference, for all the questions coming up, do not tell me that you asked the question. Thank you. But thank you for asking the question. And the kid was like, no, I have a follow-up question. That's why I told you it was my question. I was like, fine, what is your follow-up question? And they said, why does that have a name? And this kid was so perplexed why we would give that a name. And it was so a sweet moment for me, and I don't know if anyone else in the room felt sweetened like I was, but I was like, oh, cool. Like, is it this generation? Is it this part of town? Is it just this young person's life? That is so unremarkable. And it's as ridiculous to them as saying, like, tall person, short person, love.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in an inter-height relationship.
Yeah.
You know, people would be thinking, you're so ridiculous for saying that.
Yeah.
And so I felt some beauty in that moment. I've certainly seen and felt couples work together who, just by the process of slowing down, having another person to say, wait, slow down, and instruct them to say how they feel, or to do homework that might be like involving touch, that it's weird because some of these things people would normally just do on their own. But once there's some tension or difficulty in a relationship, certain things go, right? It's hard to reapproach each other. And so having homework is a good excuse to do that. And so I've certainly seen like one partner, like tears roll down their face as the other partner said, so I really love this person. And it's not something the other person doesn't know, but it just got received in a way that wouldn't be possible if you didn't have somehow another person to just hold down the tension. I don't know. I don't know how things like that work.
Interesting.
Because it's not like deep therapy work. It's just like, okay, now you say. Okay, now you talk. You know?
Right. Yeah. That's pretty wonderful. I imagine that this work is probably pretty rewarding.
I really love it, and I feel so lucky to do it. I don't do a lot of work that I don't love, which is so lucky. When I first started my practice, I did a lot of work I didn't like. You know, it's good work and interesting work, and for many people, it's what they find fun. But you know, like organizational development, or like systemic change, or like vision and mission and mandates. Those kinds of strategic planning things for organizations are not my favorite.
Right.
You know, but they're necessary.
Yeah.
For organizations. So I remember doing lots of those and slowly thinking, I don't like doing this. And if I'm lucky, then one day I don't do this.
If I had to guess, I'd say I'm gonna go out on a limb. I think is your favorite audience youth?
I do love young people. I love, but I really do actually love moments when I can be like the unexpected bridge to something, you know. I always say I'm so lucky to have had communities that really nourish and nurture me, so that I've done quite a bit of healing around like systemic injustices that I've experienced. So they're not like open wounds that are waiting to like weep.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You mean in your own experience?
In my own experience. And so I think it's so valuable to have then access to someone who is staunchly, let's say, homophobic.
Right.
And who are they going to have a conversation with that could really understand where they're coming from and possibly escort them to a slightly different place?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do, and it definitely connects to what we talked about earlier, because sometimes that person is someone in your own family. And was kind of another question I wanted to ask you about, because I did a talk at my old high school about bystander intervention, and I just collected up some things from the internet, including from Egal as well, about things you can say, using humor, asking more questions, why do you feel that way? But it still perplexes me every time, and if I don't say something, I feel terrible after. You know? And sometimes it's just, sometimes it's family saying something about immigrants having diseases or something ridiculous like that, or someone on the streetcar like saying retard. You know? And it's so, any insight on that? on how to ask questions. And I someone else, my friend Veronica, also suggested maybe asking them to repeat themselves.
Say that again. What'd you say?
Excuse me, could you repeat that for me, please? I didn't quite hear you. And wow, I thought, that is ballsy.
Yeah, totally.
I was like, oh my god.
Well, everyone has their style.
Well, I guess we're gonna wrap up pretty soon, but I wanted to Okay, I'm gonna bring in Mr. T, and I have not brought him up yet on the show. I think it's my own denial of the fact that this is happening, but it has to be talked about. I guess I wanted to know about, since you're pretty embedded in these kind of communities, how has there been an impact here because of Trump's been elected? Have people been struggling, or just what have you noticed?
I've seen the first time I visited Planned Parenthood, New York City, post-election, people felt like significantly traumatized, and I think people were in tears quite often. And I've seen the same kinds of reactions outside of the States. In reproductive and sexual health sectors. So I know that there's a lot of fear and sadness and anger. And then at the same time, coupled with that, is the surge of interest and inspiration and no fucking way we're not going to let this happen.
Yeah.
And as things always do, right, there's the action and then the reaction, and so I do feel like on the daily it's just awful. It's just awful that this is the world. Mm-hmm. And I obsessively read the news. And I don't know what it is. It's kind of a perverse thing that I'm doing. I just have to know what is the next ridiculous thing that I cannot imagine. So it shocks me all the time.
I can't imagine you've been disappointed because there seems to be something ridiculous every day.
Yeah, and I am, I remember election night, and my partner and I went to a bar, and the understanding we had was we're not going to be those people who stay at home when the first woman gets elected as the president of the United States. So let's just go. So I remember we just ended up in tears at a bar in Toronto. So yeah, I'm very stunned and continue to be, but at the same time, I really trust that humanity will do what we need to do. Yeah. And the response that we will have.
Yeah. It sounds like it's some people it's galvanized them to be even more active.
Yeah.
So there's hope, and people I think are sticking together and supporting each other in lots of ways too.
Yeah.
So Karen BK Chan.
Rebecca Nava.
It has been an honor.
It's been a slice.
And a pleasure. And a slice, absolutely, to have you.
Thanks for a good time.
Thank you. And you can find Karen BK Chan on fluidexchange.org. Your socials or anything like that?
No, I just go there. Everything else is linked to there.
That's right, fluidexchange.org. So signing off on another episode. Yeehaw!